night. Hey, Billy. Can you...
Okay, I'm just checking here. I had a plate of nachos before I got on camera, so really hoping I don't have cheese in my beard. It looks fine, it feels fine, everything appears to be fine, so alright then, on with the review. Hashtag beard problems. This week in audio drama reviews, I can't remember if this was requested or if this is one of those ones I found while listening to somebody else's audio drama and it was advertised and I thought, you know what, I'm in the market, might as well check it out, am I right? What's the worst that can happen except that I wasted a whole week of my life listening to this show? So I decided to check it out, and this week we will be talking about The Atomic Library. It's the not too distant future. Global climate change, nuclear holocaust, the plague, space aliens, natural disasters, pretty much everything you can possibly think of that could ruin the world happened, and it all happened at the exact same time, according to the way they described the show. Basically, Earth has been left as this sort of dystopian Road Warriors-esque sort of society of mutants and humans, and civilization as we know it has basically been reduced to rubble, and there's only a few sanctuaries left, and one of the sanctuaries in question is the Orson Welles Community Library. Hazel and Margaret are two of the librarians working there, and it's up to them to solve various problems like only librarians can. Yeah, I've been racking my brain for the better part of a week trying to figure out how to describe this show without coming off as some sort of sexist pig or something. But then the thought occurs to me, I'm doing a show on the internet. Everything is offensive on the internet nowadays, and literally anything I say can be taken out of context and misconstrued to make me look like a misogynist. Also, I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary, so according to Chris Matthews, not only am I a misogynist, but I'm instantly a brown shirt, so might as well just throw caution to the wind as long as I'm a pariah and just say what's on my mind, am I right, folks? The one thing I can say about this show right out the gate is this was clearly written by a woman. And I don't mean that to be offensive and, you know, mean-spirited and etc. I don't mean it like that. I mean it in the sense that as somebody who's read a lot of fan fiction in his time and somebody who's seen a lot of stand-up comedy in his life, it is very apparent that women and men have completely different senses of humor. Some things that men think are funny, women don't, and some things that women think are funny, men don't. And there's a lot of stuff in the Atomic Library I can't help but think is a lot funnier if you're a woman. One particular trope I've seen in a lot of fan fiction that was written by girls is the "tee, I'm torturing him, tee, aren't I a sadist?" trope. But if you actually think about what that's happening to the character they're torturing, it's actually pretty tame, because, you know, when a girl thinks torturing, apparently they think of things like using a character's favorite jacket to put out a toaster fire, whereas if a man was writing it, torture would probably include, I don't know, yanking his fingers off and forcing him to eat them. And there would probably be some sort of irony to the fact that the guy's fingers were being yanked off and he'd be forced to eat them, because either that's how male sense of humor works, or that's how the Jigsaw Killer's sense of humor works, now that I say it out loud. Oh boy. And this is something I've noticed about the Atomic Library, the tee-hee-hee, I'm torturing them, life is a bitch, etc. Now, I'm not entirely sure if the punching bag character of the series, the Torture-E, is Constance, or if it's Benjamin Brittle, Dr. Brittle, but it might as well be Dr. Brittle, because it seems like a lot of the more unfortunate things where it's like, tee, I'm torturing him, tee, happen to him more often than it does to Constance, because it seems like Constance at least has a character. Like, she's the temp who's been working at the library for 10 years and knows how to do everybody's job, but she's stuck being a temp for the rest of her life, whereas Benjamin Brittle is the character who's, like, uptight, and he has a system, and everything always happens to ruin his system, and oh, my life sucks, and... You know, come to think of it, Benjamin Brittle is basically the Squidward of the show. I can set aside this particular aspect of the show because it's really not that big of a deal. If it's written in a way that's funny, or if it's written in a way that at least makes sense, then fine, whatever. The problem is, this show is really not that good overall. Honestly, I wasn't going into this show expecting it to be a rip-roaring, chaotic, nonsense casserole like something like, I don't know, Emperor Pigs or something. It's clearly set in a library, things are going to be a lot more subdued, etc., but man, this show is boring. And it's not even like, it's not tedious, it's not annoying, it's not even like offensive, it's nothing like that. It's just boring, honestly. And I've been trying to think of another way to put it, but that's just something that comes to mind immediately, is this show is boring. I tried to show this one a degree of mercy because unlike last week where it had big studio backing and was a lot more professional, this one is clearly a lot more independent and is definitely a bit of a passion project, I'm guessing, and you know, they don't have the same resources, they don't have the same access to actors that a big-time studio probably would. That being said, the big downside to this show is you can tell that it's an all-woman cast because whenever there's a male character, they tone down the pitch on somebody's line readings in an attempt to make it sound more male, to make the voice deeper and more man-like, but unfortunately, it doesn't work. I'm not hearing a man's voice. I'm not picturing a man. I'm picturing, like, Satan. And I guess they eventually justify the fact that the boss has a voice modulator, or whatever we call it nowadays, to tone his voice down all the way down here. I demand to see you in my office, etc., but everybody else, you know, they're just men. And they don't sound like men, they sound like female demons or something, you know? It's honestly something that takes me out of the experience, and there are lots of other details that really don't help at all. The fact that Constance is pretty much the only good actress in the entire production. I mean, God bless them for trying, but Marjorie clearly sounds like she's reading from a card. Hazel can put up a decent performance from time to time, but I kind of feel like some line reads could be better. And I've already talked about how the male voices all sound like female demons, etc. And also notice that, like, there's instances where it seems like there's delay between lines where there shouldn't be delay, or there are instances where, like, a line is injected where it shouldn't be, and it kind of sounds like they didn't edit this properly, or, like, the engineering was not very well done at all, and I really tried to give this show the benefit of a doubt, and I really tried to get into this, but there's so many little things that just took me out of it, and I really just couldn't enjoy myself at any point. This show has 2 seasons to it, much like Kalila Stormfire and some of the other audio dramas on my list, but I couldn't see my way past season 1. Particularly episode 6, because I couldn't help but notice that once it got to season 6, the microphone quality got significantly worse. Like, we're not talking staticky, we're not talking, like, different people using different microphones. They were clearly using the same microphone equipment, but I couldn't help but notice there didn't seem to be pop filters, you know, like how you have to deal with, like, sharp consonants like T's and P's and whatnot, and I noticed in episode 6 those became a much bigger problem, and I wonder if, like, they had new microphones and were trying to figure out how to get the quality to sound good, and they didn't have a pop filter, or maybe they had to get cheaper microphones and didn't figure out the old low-tech trick that I heard about where, and I swear I'm not making this up, but you can put, like, pantyhose over the microphone and it makes for a good pop filter, supposedly. I swear to God I'm not making that up. Overall, I didn't like this one. I really tried. I really tried to get into this one, but oh my god. I was just so bored, and when you're bored, you can't help but notice all the little things, all the little technical errors, and all the major problems, and all the weird decisions that they decided to make in lieu of actually hiring a male to voice a male. Like, I don't care if, like, the one male voiced all the male characters, you know, just, yeah, I know I'm kind of dwelling on that, but that is just a weird decision, and I don't know what to make of it, you know? Try as I might, I just couldn't get into this one, and unfortunately, I have to give it 1 hat out of 4. And that's going to do it for this week's audio drama review. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell if you actually mean it. Check out some other audio dramas I've reviewed here on the Tommy Teal Hat channel, and in fact, just check out the Tommy Teal Hat channel in general to see all sorts of things I've done. Look forward to seeing you. Until next time. I got hat hair. I was worried about nacho cheese in my beard, and I should probably have been more focused on the hat hair. Now I'm going to turn off my camera.